Below the Twinkling Firmament. Hello, I'm An. Tonight we travel to one of the southernmost places in the world, a remote field by a flowing river where the scent of eucalyptus wafts through the air and the stars shine down by the millions. Before we get started, take a moment to settle down and relax. Feel your body get soft and heavy in your bed. Take a few cleansing breaths, letting go of any tension from the day. Allow your eyes to drift gently closed. Now, let's begin tonight's sleep story, Below the Twinkling Firmament. It is a picture of rural tranquility. The quiet country lane before you unfurls like a silken ribbon, lined with rich farmland and forests, softly undulating and growing ever narrower towards the horizon. You follow this ribbon of unpaved road a little farther, and a few cows low in the distance. A cheerful songbird greets you with her pretty melody until the wooden gate appears on the right-hand side of the lane, marking the entrance to a peaceful country estate. On either side of the gate stand two stone pillars, like watchful sentinels of centuries past. On one of the pillars, there's a small tiled sign, framed by a faded blue scroll work. The sign reads a single word, revealing the name of the estate and the very thing that has drawn you to this place today: serenity. Not only does a songbird welcome you, but also the caretaker of the estate, who comes down to the gate and greets you with a warm smile and a beckoning gesture. He slowly pulls the gate open and motions for you to cross the threshold. The driveway leads to the estate's beautiful hacienda-style home, still bathed in deep morning shadows. But this home is not your final destination today. Instead, the friendly caretaker guides you even farther ahead along a path into a wide open field. The field is dotted with orange and lemon trees, their boughs heavy with fruit and hanging low to the ground, while a dense thicket of eucalyptus trees borders the field's furthest edge. You move closer to this mysterious thicket, knowing that your destination lies within it, though it isn't yet visible. Indeed, it is only upon reaching the boundary where the grassy field gives way to the earthy forest floor that the first hints of your destination become visible through the thicket's twisting branches. And now you see it. Even more astonishing than its secluded location is the shape of the dome. Gone are the straight roof lines and neat corners of a traditional dwelling. What exists here, in this fragrant forest of eucalyptus and pine, is the rounded outline, an orb-like shape of a dome. At last, you have arrived. This open countryside, sweeping past your woodland and field, is home to a dome tucked away, carrying the echoes of landscapes found all across the globe, from the American heartland to the Australian bush, just also full of native eucalyptus. The stone to which you have traveled to see on this particular journey is located near the very bottom of South America, in a small and unique country called Uruguay. Along the great Atlantic Ocean, Uruguay is bordered by the continent's two largest countries, Brazil to the north and Argentina to the south. These countries offer up dramatic landscapes befitting their expansive dimensions, from the snow-capped peaks of Patagonia to the mighty cascades of Iguazu Falls and the lush rainforests and jungles of the Amazon. Uruguay is quietly situated between Brazil and Argentina, offering a different kind of natural beauty and evoking a different type of wonder. Wonder is the very engine of life, writes Erling Kagge in his book Silence, and it is your own desire for wonder, stillness, and serenity that has compelled you to seek out this hidden corner of South America. In Uruguay, there are mainly two kinds of landscapes. Along the Atlantic coast and farther inland at the wide river delta of the Rio de la Plata. There are calm, sandy beaches that seem to extend into eternity, and life beside the coastline moves to a simpler rhythm, with one seaside village that has wooden signs around the central plaza, reading in Spanish, "Aquí solo corre el viento," meaning, "Only the wind runs here." Rolling dunes flow in time with the shimmer of ever-present pampas grass, the flowery wheat-colored plumes giving the plant its name in Spanish, cola de zorro, for her foxtails. Spots of ice plant blanket the dunes as well, with their brilliant pink blossoms adding bursts of welcome color to the scene. Waves break gently here as if they were taking their time, never hurried, never rushed, always inspiring you to adopt their tempo as your own. Beyond these tranquil beaches and lagoons stretches the rest of the country, referred to simply as the interior, where the landscape shifts from coastline to grassland. For more than 2 centuries, the tall prairie grasses have provided the perfect nourishment for herds of cattle and sheep. Since the very beginning of Uruguay's colonial history, farmers and cowboys known as gauchos have established their ranches and estancias. Across these open, fertile plains, the ritual and way of life are often still witnessed today. Wearing their platine boots, berets, and an embroidered belt around their waist, gauchos continue to traverse the Sylvan countryside on horseback. So, a unique aspect of the dome at the heart of this journey, besides its distinctive round shape, is its point of entry into both of these special worlds. The shoreline of the Rio de la Plata is but a short walk away, where you can sink your feet deep into the sand and surrender to the river's ebb and flow. The dome itself is surrounded by the pastoral farms and fields of the Uruguayan interior, and the singular setting between two worlds marks the beginning of your serene countryside retreat. With the dome at last in sight, you pause at the edge of the forest and breathe in an unmistakable scent, the scent of eucalyptus. The layered hints of mint and honey seem to emanate from every long and feathery leaf. The original Greek root of the word means well covered, referring to the protective cap that covers budding eucalyptus flowers. Similarly, the towering silver trunks that encircle the dome seem to shelter your new dwelling with their own sweet-smelling embrace. With each new breath, you notice another familiar scent mixing with the forest aroma, the scent of wood smoke, slowly wafting from a tall, thin chimney. For the caretaker has already started a fire in the dome's small wood-burning stove. The gift of his thoughtfulness is twofold. Not only will the dome be cozy and warm inside, but the smoke itself has helped to create a truly remarkable sight outside. The closely grown canopy of treetops and leaves doesn't permit much of the morning sunlight into the forest, but the beams of light that filter through now merge with thick clouds of wood smoke, mimicking the effect known as God's rays, often witnessed near the horizon at sunset. You have yet to step foot inside the dome, and already your visceral sense of wonder has brought you here. The splendor of these smoky sunbeams heralds your arrival. But as you approach the dome, which rests on a wooden platform elevating it above the forest floor, opening the front door is a moment of anticipation. You imagine what awaits inside. What will life here look like, and how will your days and nights unfold? Stepping inside, the first surprise of the dome is how spacious it feels. The airy ceiling is like a vast cathedral, and yet, despite its roomy interior, the dome has been furnished modestly, attributed to the art of living with only what is necessary. To the right stands a bed covered in a plush white quilt. A small white table and 2 white chairs add to the air of simplicity. There's a small kitchen, and beside it, the most essential element in the room, a cast-iron wood-burning stove. Apart from the furniture, everything inside the dome, the ceiling, walls, and floor, is made from raw wood that hasn't been stained or painted. Instead, the natural golden hue has been left free to reflect the entering sunlight, glowing as warmly as amber. And while its construction is hidden by the roof from outside, here, inside, the finer workings of its design are clear to see, creating the globe-like structure of the ceiling and rounded walls. Dozens of small triangular panels of wood were fitted together to form a sphere known as a geodesic dome. This triangular pattern encompasses the dome's interior and is like nothing you have ever seen. Perhaps this is how it might feel to step inside a prism. While such an unusual design only appeared in modern architecture in the 20th century, rounded huts and mounds have existed across the world since ancient times. Knowing this, it feels as though you are experiencing a tradition so much deeper than just a single dwelling. Most surprising, however, are the dome's windows. In many ways, the dome is reminiscent of a yurt, the traditional home used for millennia by nomads in Mongolia and other Central Asian cultures. Here at Sun Domes, it shares the same circular shape, but the only opening in the roof of a yurt is the rounded window at its top. As for the dome, there are indeed 2 skylights placed high above towards its highest point. But in many other places around the dome's ceiling, numerous triangular windows have been inserted in place of wooden panels, forming fascinating geometric shapes. The kitchen is a single triangle of glass, and there are also 5 windows at the top of the ceiling, forming a pentagon. Above the table, another set of windows has been assembled into the shape of a star. The presence of so many windows and the dome structure has 2 powerful effects. In any yurt with only a single window, the natural world can only be heard and felt through the yurt's canvas walls, even if it can't be seen. However, in a dome with its many star-shaped windows positioned in every direction, you can see so much more of the surrounding forest. You can watch the wood shift and the stir in the wind and witness the trees themselves dancing. Every fluttering leaf, every light branch, every pocket of sky visible through the canopy of treetops. Each picture window is a masterpiece of deep greens and brilliant blues, the only artwork such a residence could ever require on its amber-colored walls. But just as the dome's windows let you see more of the surrounding world, so too do they let more of the world come in, especially on bright sunny days. As the sunlight passes through the forest and enters the dome, it is filtered through myriad layers of branches and trees like water through a sieve, casting patches of soft, dappled light around the room. Every dancing tree outside creates a flickering shadow inside, shadow shaped like eucalyptus leaves, twisting and turning as though refracted by the mirrors of a kaleidoscope. When the dome fills with wood smoke, which happens whenever the door to its stove is opened, the smoke is once again caught and shafts of sunlight ease glowing beams, feeling like a permanent fixture in the dome. The constant and cherished sense of belonging is reinforced by the homey furnishings. Your days in the dome soon drift into a quiet rhythm. At the start of each day, you have a single task in mind: testing the embers in the stove and hoping for a few red coals from the night before that might be coaxed into providing another day's warmth. There are also more eucalyptus leaves and twigs to be gathered from outside, which not only crackle and pop in the stove as the fire grows, a fitting companion to the morning breeze and birdsong, but also fill the air with their restorative fragrance. Once a sturdy fire is burning in the stove, you're carried outside again by another beloved ritual, this time towards the citrus grove. With a woven basket in hand, closing the dome door behind you, you walk through the trees. A single black and white cow is just visible, grazing in the distance, as though in greeting. She pauses and lifts her head in your direction. At first, your footsteps crunch on a bed of dried, fallen leaves, but they soon soften as the wooded ground turns to field. Precious dewdrops still cling to the tiny blades of grass. The orange and lemon trees seem delighted to be offering up their bounty. And you're happy to return their delight, each perfectly ripe fruit plucked from their branches and placed in the basket leads to a feeling of unexpected joy. And already you can taste the sweet juice this harvest will soon yield. As you gather both sustenance and warmth from the natural world, it feels as though life has begun to return to the essential ways it was meant to be lived. Each ritual, such as the building of fires and the collecting of fruit, takes time, more time than our fast-paced world seems to permit us now. But as you mindfully attend to each task, you feel more of the serenity you had hoped to find here. Each moment seems to last a little longer. Each day holds a little more room for thought. In the afternoons, you venture even farther afield, retracing familiar steps back to the estate's graceful entrance and down the restful ribbon of road, unspooling across the hills. Through a parting in the woods along one hill, a beautiful horse with a speckled gray coat appears, swishing her silvery tail as she roams her paddock. Each long strand backward is illuminated by the sun. The scene has a palpable timelessness about it, as though at any moment a gaucho might appear as well before leading his mare off to some imaginary homestead. The crest of another hill is the only thing that draws you away from the dome each day. A hint of water on the horizon, just visible through the trees, soon grows into the Rio de la Plata, and lastly, the farms and fields of Uruguay's countryside fall away, and a small beach along the coast emerges. The sand is as soft as velvet, and sturdy trees grow right along the shore. Their tangled network of raised roots touches the waves. As far as the eye can see, the tranquil river flows, and expanses of water fill the entire horizon. Known as the River of Silver in Spanish, the Rio de la Plata feels in so many ways more like an ocean. The scent of salt water carried on the wind, the gentle movement of its waves and tides, and the fact that you cannot see even a hint of the opposite shoreline because of its sheer expansiveness. Something of it feels less like a river and more like an estuary or gulf. To those who consider the Rio de la Plata as most assuredly a river, it is the widest in the world, standing more than a mile at its source and nearly 150 miles at its eventual convergence with the Atlantic. It even helps to form the border between Uruguay and Argentina. Indeed, just across the river from the dome is the bustling Argentine capital of Buenos Aires. And as you sit here along the shore of the world's widest river every evening, the last light of the sun gilds the sky with deep hues of sapphire and gold, and something unexpected begins to happen. Somehow, the expanse of the river inspires an expansiveness in your own mind. Gazing upon the open horizon between sea and sky, new horizons of thoughts and ideas start to take shape. Your connections come together and new understanding unfolds, as though all that was required for this to happen was to quiet yourself and listen. At first, such silence can feel almost uncomfortable, especially while the voices and noises of the outside world are still falling away, like that same moment in which a top takes its final revolutions before ceasing to spin. How do we feel this new stillness around us? How do we listen to our own voices again? It can start with a simple walk to the coast or an evening spent in the sanctuary of trees. We can start by listening more closely to the hymns of the birds, breathing more deeply, and taking in the scents of wood smoke and eucalyptus. And we can give thanks more often for the extraordinary yet ordinary blessings of nature. And then there are our lives. This is the sacred lessons that your time in the dome has revealed. The more serenity we create for ourselves, the more space we have for something else, greater wonder and awe. And the more we pause and pay attention to the world around us, the more in love with our world we fall. When only the muted hues of afterglow remain in the sky above, it's time to let the relaxing ribbon of road guide you home through Uruguay's peaceful countryside. One last time, a fire still burns in the stove, filling the dome with its cozy warmth. A solitary songbird sings its final melody of the day, and by the glimmer of a single candle, you curl up beneath the covers of your bed, snug against the nighttime chill, covered up like a eucalyptus flower, as still as the river. When you gaze up through the dark windows and the roof, the trees and the dome circling around them are no longer visible. But in their place, a far more wondrous sight awaits you. The glow of 1,000 stars and entire constellations fill each magical star-shaped window, as though the dome has become your very own private planetarium. Tonight, the sky seems to shine just for you. It's a gift to fall asleep in such wonder. As you close your eyes, you find the stars still dancing in your mind. It's a gift to feel the fire's warmth still embracing you, and the peace of the countryside filling your heart. Here beneath the starlit dome, sleep comes as sweetly as the breeze.